So I'm going to take you through what you need to do to create the sewing pouch. All I've done so far is cut the pieces out and layer them side to side, and on the back of here I've got a layer of batting as well. So one thing you need to do before you start to sew this together is just up at the top here, you've got a piece of ribbon in your Fabazine kit. I've lost mine, so I've just got a little piece of waxed cord, which I'm just going to place there. And then I'll pop once I've got them sandwiched together, I'll pop a pin in just to make sure that that stays in place. And what you're going to do is sew all of the way around the outside, sew the whole circuit, but I would actually start here, or maybe just like a centimetre or so in from here, go all the way around and then stop a centimetre in from this other side, because you're going to need that gap at the bottom to be able to turn everything right side out. So I'll jump on the sewing machine, quickly do that, and be right back with you. I've sewn all the way around now, and the next step is to turn it right side out. So I need to snip into anywhere that is a corner, like here and here. This one needs a little snip as well. And then anywhere that's an outer corner, like for example these pieces here, we need to take the extra bulk off of those. So you want to cut them twice and reduce the bulk on the corners. So go around and do all of that, and then turn the whole thing right side out. So I'll do that, and I will take it to the ironing board and press it, and then I'll see you in just a sec. I'm back from the sewing machine and the ironing board. I'm just going to quickly show you how it goes together before I show you the next steps that you need to do. So this comes together by folding this one across, and then this one across, and then back over in a zigzag to create the 3 pockets on the pouch. So what you need to do to make this fold easier, because you can see it's got batting in it at the minute, which makes it quite bulky on when it's folding over. So I'm going to unfold it, I'm going to take it back to the sewing machine and stitch down each of these join lines, and that's effectively going to be like putting a crease into cardboard, and it's going to allow it to fold much more easily. I've stitched those fold lines in, and I've also top stitched just that top line all the way around the top, just to make it a little bit easier so I don't have to do it later, because then that will give me nice crisp edges on all of these folded bits. And you can see now that they fold so much more easily because they've had that little bit of sewing added to them, and it effectively creates a crease like in cardboard. So my next step is to tidy up some of these threads and to close up the bottom here. Now, because I've got a thin piece of batting in here, I've got quite a few layers there, because when you kind of think about it, it's 1 layer for the bottom, 2 for the first pocket, 3 and 4 to create the other 2 pockets. So I would probably just at least hand stitch or tack that in place first before I went all of the way around the edge. And what we're going to do is pin it and then stitch all the way down all of these layers. Now my top tip for this is that I would actually start at the thickest point and work your way off, because it's a lot easier for the machine to handle fabric that's getting thinner rather than having to step up onto this extra piece here. So I'd start from the top ends and come down both sides. And the last piece that I need to do is just to put another line of stitching along here to allow that to form a crease for when it folds over. Now, depending on how much stuff you're going to put in here, you may want to adjust where you put that crease. I'm going to put one just where that kind of little break is, because I think it makes sense to put it there. So I'm going to put it along there. Obviously, if that will create your first fold. If it's any bulkier, then that will just roll round to seal at the bottom. So I'll stitch that in, and I will stitch up these pieces, and I'll be right back with you. Now, as you can see, I've got quite a lot of layers on the machine here, so what I would definitely advise is when you are starting it off, just to use the hand wheel on the machine to turn it 3 or 4 times. And if you have to sew the whole thing by hand turning it, then do it, because it'll make your life an awful lot easier, and it will not put quite as much stress on your machine. Once you've got it going a little bit, then you can give it a go with a foot pedal, but I would definitely reduce the speed so you've got that bit more control. Pouch is all finished, and the last step is to add the button. Now there is a button that comes in with the kit, but I found a few nice vintage ones that I thought I might like to use instead. So you can see my loop is really large because originally I was going to use that button there, that kind of nice vintagey one, but I found another pink one that I thought might match a little bit better. So I can then, this actually has been hand stitched on, you can see there. So I can stitch that one on to there in place. Now if my pouch is going to be fairly flat most of the time, then I want to put my button quite far down. Obviously I can go back and shorten that loop if I need to. But if you're going to put needles into the front of it and keep just quite flat things in, then your button's going to need to be quite far down. If you're going to really kind of fill it and it's going to be a little bit bulkier, then you're going to have to move that button up slightly. So bear that in mind when you come to put your button on, and then just sewing that button in place is the last piece.